At the engagement banquet, Ethan's secretary accidentally stepped on my dress. The usually gentle and refined man suddenly erupted in anger. I was about to persuade him, but suddenly I saw the comments. Whoa, it's about to get painful. The male lead is so foolish, clearly likes the female lead, but is unaware of it. He thought he loved the female supporting character, but in reality, it was just a habit. As Vivian, the first love who died young, is about to go offline, I hope the male and female leads can resolve their misunderstandings soon. My heart skipped a beat. Vivian, that is my name. At this moment, Ethan knows that the girl won't drink, yet he still makes her choose between drinking and apologizing. I smiled faintly. No need. I'll drink this glass of wine for her. Am I really that malicious? It's just a man. If he doesn't want it, then so be it. The strong liquor burned my throat, and a fiery pain spread through my stomach. I made an excuse to go to the washroom, and in the hallway, I couldn't help but take out some stomach medicine and swallow it. Sister, I don't think you seem like a bad person either. I turn around, and the little secretary was standing behind me. She wore a delicate pink dress and stepped in exquisite high heels, like a little white flower swaying in the wind, evoking my sympathy. I thank you for blocking the drinks for me just now, so I want to tell you something. She bit her lip and spoke bluntly. Ethan no longer loves you, because I have already slept with him. It wasn't just a drunken fling, nor was it just once. In fact, during his infatuation, he even said he wanted me to marry him. Even though I already knew everything through the comments, I still couldn't help but be taken aback by meeting such a straightforward mistress for the first time. I leaned against the wall, lit a cigarette, and exhaled the smoke heavily. So what now? The girl's eyes were watery as she unbuttoned the top 3 buttons of her shirt, revealing her snow-white shoulders. There was a noticeable bite mark on one, along with countless red marks spreading to her collarbone, stinging my eyes. Ethan has been on countless business trips, and each time it was with me. He accompanied me to admire the aurora, race cars, visit amusement parks, and buy me my favorite candy figures. He said that if he had met me earlier, everything would have been different. He said he doesn't like those women who are skilled in flattery. My simplicity and purity are what is truly precious. Just then, I heard the sound of a door being pushed open behind me. The girl suddenly grabbed my hand and, with a sobbing tone, said, "Miss Vivian, it's all my fault. I've already punished myself with 3 drinks to apologize to you. Please forgive me. My family is poor, and I don't want to be expelled." I then realized that there were obvious red wine stains on her collar, which had been deliberately arranged long ago. She swayed and fell to the ground, and at the same time, Ethan rushed over and caught her steadily, his eyes wide with anger. "You have an alcohol allergy and you don't know? Someone offers you a drink and you just take it? Do you want to die?" In the moment he left holding her, Ethan turned his back to me, his voice cold. "Vivian, I understand you hate her, but there's no need to do it this way next time. I told you I would stand up for you." I watched him burst through the door with the girl in his arms, as if flying, but I just took another puff of my cigarette. Ethan's little secretary had just graduated from college, her eyes full of naive innocence and youthful freshness. It resembles the me of the past, whether in appearance or temperament. Ethan's aesthetic has not changed over the years. I took out my phone and scrolled through Ethan's moments one by one. Not bad, the girl didn't lie to me. He had been to Iceland, the racetrack, and the amusement park. He, who usually didn't like to post on moments, had posted many times in the past 6 months. The text is obviously in the tone of a little girl, and it even adds some expressions. Moreover, his background image has unknowingly changed to a picture of the northern lights in Iceland. It's funny to say that from high school until now, we've been delayed by various things, and we've never had a trip for just the 2 of us. I forced myself to return in the hall, took the microphone, and said to everyone, "I'm sorry, everyone, but today I am unwell, and the engagement ceremony cannot be held as scheduled. I hope you can understand." The audience was in an uproar, and the guests were all discussing what had happened. I, however, stared at the barrage of comments above my head and couldn't help but chuckle. It was nothing serious, just that I only had 1 month left to live. Ethan and I were high school classmates. His family was wealthy, arrogant, and unruly, while I was poor and only a good student. Not long after the school year started, the teacher moved us to the same desk. My classmates were convinced that I would be bullied terribly, but no one expected that he seemed to have completely changed. My hair was dyed black, I stopped sleeping in class, and I always arrived at the classroom the earliest, helping me wipe down my seat. At that time, a group of vocational school delinquents would block me every day, asking for my WeChat. After he found out, he recklessly went to confront them alone. That day he was sent to the hospital for 8 stitches, and in the face of his parents' scolding, he said nothing about doing it for me. Looking at his bruised and battered face, I couldn't help but shed tears. And he magically pulled a rose from his pocket for me, smiling. "Vivian, actually I went to pick flowers for you, taking care of those bastards along the way." The sunlight filtered through the gauze window and fell on the boy's face, a rare serious expression on him. "If you really feel guilty, just be with me. I truly like you." On his 18th birthday, he took me back to his home. I remember it clearly. That day his mother looked at me with a blank expression. "Our family can accept a daughter-in-law without a family background, but we definitely do not need a good girl like you. What we need is a strong woman who can stand shoulder to shoulder with Ethan, not a delicate flower that still relies on him to survive." Ethan suddenly got angry and said he liked me this way. I deeply etched this sentence into my mind. In the following years, I studied hard and grew relentlessly. In order to do business, I learned to be cunning, smoking, and drinking, and everyone respectfully calls me Miss Vivian. But the look in his eyes became increasingly complicated. One time when he was drunk, Ethan hugged me and nuzzled against my shoulder for a long time, and finally lay back on the sofa, sighing. "Vivian, I still prefer the scent you had back then. Like a little flower." I just smiled and made him comfortable, continuing to open my laptop and stay up all night reviewing contracts. I returned home and slept heavily for an entire afternoon. When I woke up, my phone had been bombarded with calls, all from relatives and friends. Even Ethan's mother called me more than a dozen times, asking what was going on. After all these years, his parents have come to highly recognize me, but unfortunately, Ethan is drifting further away from me. "Aunt, my fingertips are brushing against the screen, and it has nothing to do with that. Ethan and I really aren't suitable for each other." After sending this message, I lay on the bed, watching the dusk deepen outside, and the room became pitch black. The door suddenly opened, a breath of coolness rushed in, and someone climbed onto the bed, holding me in their arms. "Wife." Ethan's hot breath sprayed against my neck. "It's all my fault today. I shouldn't have spoken harshly, but you have to understand me. After all, I am the boss. If something happens to my employees under my watch, it would tarnish my reputation. I have already had her fired, so please forgive me. I've been staying home to keep you company during this time." His breathing gradually became rapid, and his hands started to become restless, but I broke free with all my strength. Ethan woke up.
"Why?"
He stubbornly asked while gripping my wrist. "Did you refuse me?" I numbly looked into his eyes in the darkness. "You slept with your secretary, didn't you?" Even though I already knew the answer, I still wanted to hear him say it to me. The air was quiet for 2 seconds, and he said, "No." "Who told you?" But I understand him very well. His hesitation and silence have already revealed the answer. "You lied to me. You had a relationship." My voice was terrifyingly calm. "She told me herself. Do you want me to call her in front of you?" His breathing became heavier.
"I'm sorry."
After saying that, he suddenly knelt in front of me, holding me tightly, tears streaming down. "Vivian, I really love you. There must be a way to solve this. Can we face it together? Please, I didn't mean it. Don't abandon me. I really can't leave you." He cried more and more fiercely, his arms like steel bars, trapping me so I couldn't move. He knew that in the past, as long as he did this, I would soften, and I would never refuse what he wanted. But this time, I held back the pain in my heart and said to him, "Ethan, we have no possibility anymore. Vivian, will never be with a tainted man." I got out of bed to leave, but Ethan rushed forward and hugged me recklessly. "You can't leave me." You're mine. You can't go anywhere. He crazily dragged me back to the bed, frantically grabbing everything that could be used to bind me, like a belt and a tie. Anyone who dares to stop us from being together, I will take their life. You will belong to me for all eternity. Suddenly, his phone rang. Without even looking, he hung up, but the other party called again. Ethan paused for a moment and picked up the phone. He turned his voice down to the lowest volume, but I still heard it. Ethan, Miss Eudora's alcohol allergy has caused severe vomiting of blood, and she needs a blood transfusion. Ethan immediately interrupted impatiently. Then go give her a blood transfusion. I'll pay whatever it costs. No, you misunderstand. Miss Eudora has a special blood type that our hospital does not have in stock. Her blood type is the same as Miss Vivian's. Ethan's wrist trembled. No reserves? The nearby hospital doesn't have any either? He furrowed his brows as he got out of bed, putting on his shoes while saying, I'll go over and take a look right now. If you dare to lie to me, I'll smash your hospital. Before leaving, he repeatedly instructed the servant not to let me leave. He even put several locks on the bedroom door and finally took the key with him in his pocket. If anything happens to the lady, I will make you disappear into the sea market. He roared with red eyes, and when he looked at me in the end, his gaze seemed to have crushed many things. Wait for me, I'll take care of those things and come back to find you. We have so many beautiful memories. We can definitely return to the past. He hurried away, but all I felt was nausea. He enjoyed the innocence and vitality of the young girl, searching for the shadow of my youth in her, and when caught cheating, he cried and held me, saying he couldn't leave me. When this happened, he thought, can we still go back? Late at night, I endured the pain of my stomach illness and dialed the phone of my best friend who was on vacation in Yunnan. Using the secret language we once devised, ask her to come and take me away. There is only a month left to live, and I no longer want to be the Miss Vivian who was born for Ethan. I just want to be myself. My best friend realized that something was off with me and tentatively asked, why don't you order takeout? You're so hungry late at night. I replied, no, I want to lose weight. This body of mine is holding me back. Her breathing became heavy. She knew this meant I was imprisoned. All right, when I have time, I'll give you some. Probably in 2 or 3 days I'll be on vacation. I know my best friend is about to take action, and before that, I can't provoke Ethan. I know that even if he shows difficulty in letting go of me, it's only because of habit. He doesn't love me and won't let go. In the early morning, he returned wrapped in a chill. The baby is so good, really waiting for me at home. He came over with a smile to comfort me, holding a cup of hot milk to feed me. On such a cold day, you have to take care of your health. He swept my hair back, revealing the forehead of my student days, and smiled with satisfaction. My Vivian is still as beautiful as she was back then, truly the prettiest girl in the first high school. You need to understand, I looked at him coldly. I am not the Vivian from my student days, and you are no longer that Ethan from back then. He suddenly withdrew his hand as if in pain. My long hair cascades down in exaggerated, vibrant waves, infused with the usual business perfume. Ethan's expression immediately became much clearer, even revealing a hint of coolness. I have been to the hospital, and Eudora is still in a coma and needs a blood transfusion. Unfortunately, her blood type is the same as yours. Both are rare blood types, and the hospital doesn't have enough stored. His voice was hoarse. Vivian, after all, she got into trouble because she was trying to apologize to you. He did not continue speaking, but looked at me with hope. He knew that I would never put him in a difficult position. What if I don't want to? I clenched my fist. How can you be so sure she really drank the alcohol? Since I already took the drink for her, why would I torment her? It was she who chased me out into the corridor and said those hurtful words, but I didn't. Vivian, you also said that she said some hurtful things to you, so you couldn't take it anymore and taught her a lesson, right? Ethan's smile carried a sense of desolation. Eudora is a person as simple as a blank sheet of paper, while I have witnessed your business tactics. Just this sentence shattered me completely. I suddenly felt a dizziness in my brain, my consciousness rapidly drifting away. The last frame shows me falling into Ethan's arms as he kisses my forehead. No matter what you do, You will always be my wife. After this, we got married and would never be apart. When I woke up, my body was filled with tubes, and I had no strength left in me at all. Various instruments emitted a piercing sound, and there were several needles in my arm, one of which was inserted with a very thick syringe. It turned out that the glass of milk was poisoned. Ethan had already made up his mind on the way here. Behind a curtain, a girl's delicate voice came through. Ethan, boo-hoo. What will happen if Miss Vivian breaks up with you, because of what you did for me? Ethan's voice was terrifyingly cold and hard. I'm not doing this for you. I just don't want Vivian to have a guilty conscience. She will understand. We will never break up. The girl was quiet for a few seconds. I'm scared of the pain from drawing so much blood. Can you hold me? Her voice was tinged with tears. Look at that thick needle. I'm really scared. Sob, sob, sob. Will there be scars on my arm? I'm most afraid of being ugly.
All right.
There won't be scars. I'll ask the doctor to be gentler. Ethan said impatiently. Just then, a medical staff member pushed a cart by, and the wind it stirred lifted a corner of the curtain. I happened to see the man bend down, gently taking the girl into his arms. Our eyes met, and he saw me too. I can hardly imagine that the boy from high school who once vowed to pamper me to the heavens would completely transform into someone else over the next 10 years. Ethan, didn't you say you would never let me be hurt even a little?
Vivian.
He straightened up stiffly, and now he probably couldn't weave any excuses even for himself. He had fallen in love with another woman. I have already arranged it. We won't get engaged next month. The air momentarily froze, and Eudora, lying on the hospital bed, almost sat up in excitement. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes. Let's get married right away. As soon as you're discharged from the hospital, we'll go get the certificate. Ethan, you bastard, being with you is the biggest regret of my life. I hope you die a terrible death. I hate you, and don't even think about marrying me. He looked at me, silently smiling until the corners of his eyes crinkled. You hate me, but I love you too. He walked over and, disregarding my struggles, placed a kiss on my forehead. I cursed him with every dirty word I could think of, and in the end, I was almost crying as I said, "Please don't draw blood, okay? I really didn't let Eudora drink. It was all her disguise. But I'm really going to die, Ethan, do you know that? You will definitely regret it. I won't let you die." He straightened up, his face covered by the shadows of the light. "Doctor, let's begin." I had been in a coma for 3 days and 3 nights. When I woke up, it was already evening, and my best friend, disguised as a medical staff, was standing at the head of my bed. She looked like she had been crying for a long time. Her eyes were all swollen. "Ethan, that bastard. What has he done to you? I knew from the beginning that he was unreliable. I shouldn't have entrusted you to him. All I want now is to kill him." I propped up my broken body, feeling like a thin piece of paper. I raised my hand to touch her head. "My young lady, you're still the same as in your student days. As long as I ask you to handle something, there's nothing you can't accomplish. This time, you've gone to great lengths again." "Damn. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm about to hire someone to kill." "Ethan, I curse his ancestors. I've already started looking into this. That girl clearly has nothing to do with it. Why won't Ethan take a little more time to confirm?" Sure enough, a man's words are deceiving. When we graduated from high school, he swore to me that he would definitely marry me and make me happy. Is this how he makes you happy? My best friend's eyes are as red as a little rabbit's. My carefree and free-spirited young lady still has light shining in her eyes. "Tiffany, take me away from here. I want to go to Dolly, the place we once promised to go." It was a slightly cool night when I left the hospital. Ethan was accompanying his little girl to set off fireworks by the river. The photos inadvertently revealed the shadow of the two of them tightly embracing on the ground. This time, I didn't see it through Ethan's social media, but rather it was sent to me directly by the girl. The strawberry-flavored cotton candy is so sweet, but he said it's not as sweet as my kiss. He said he loves my innocence to death. He really cherishes me. He can't hold back anymore, yet he says that I just had surgery and need to rest, and that he will deal with me properly once I'm better. The girl completely tore apart all her disguises. To be honest, I didn't have anything at all. All your blood was wasted. My stepfather is the director of this hospital. I'm not like you. Your family is poor and has nothing. While I may not be as good as the Liu family, but I am still a proper young lady. A man like Ethan is only worthy of me. This time your best friend came to the hospital under my secret suggestion. I think after all these events, you should have realized that in his eyes, I am the most important person. Vivian, considering that you helped me block the drinks, I kindly advise you, once you leave this time, don't come back. Otherwise, I will make your death very ugly. I was speechless with a laugh. This is Ethan's pure and kind crush. I blocked her and deleted her. My best friend wrapped me up in layers of coats, and even added a fluffy scarf. I looked like a dumpling even to myself. Her newly replaced spacious luxury car was parked by the roadside, accompanied by a driver, a chef, and a family doctor. Just before getting in the car, I suddenly saw an old man by the roadside selling cotton candy. Two couples in school uniforms were huddled together, rubbing their hands in the cold wind as they waited. Once upon a time, Ethan and I were like that too. I loved strawberry-flavored cotton candy, and he would always buy me several in one go. But he couldn't help but poke my nose while I was eating, deliberately holding the remaining cotton candy high up. No more for you, you little glutton. Eat any more, and you'll get cavities. The cold wind blew, and distant memories faded away. The girl and the young couple took a bite of the cotton candy and exclaimed with delight, "It's so delicious. I'm bursting with happiness." The boy looked at her with a face full of affection and, taking advantage of the moment, ruffled her hair. "If it's good, I'll buy it for you again next time. Come on, how about we go over there and have some hot roasted sweet potatoes?" "Great idea. Let's add a cup of hot milk tea." "Youth is great," my best friend sighed in my ear. "At our age, we can eat these things late at night without worrying about getting fat." "Oh, flowers may bloom again, but people can never be young again." She shoved me into the car. The music from a few years ago started playing inside, back when we could only play tapes. We would mimic playing the guitar with a broom. Now it seems like we have everything, yet we have lost ourselves. After arriving in Yunnan overnight, I removed my SIM card and replaced it with a new one that my best friend had prepared for me. I completely severed all ties with my previous world. The hard work over the years had earned me quite a bit of money. I had been secretly saving it as a little nest egg before marriage. Now that money was no longer needed. I divided it into 3 parts. One part was donated to children in impoverished mountainous areas who want to go to school. One part was used to support medical research for major diseases. The rest I opened a pet park, adopting many stray animals, cats and dogs. There is a little cat with a smoky voice that is the closest to me. Whenever it sees me, it comes over to rub against my legs. It is not afraid of people at all. When I am outside basking in the sun, it will push open the gate and saunter out with its tail swaying. When I feed it cat treats, it stands up on its hind legs, waving its paws to grab the food for itself. We have reached a wonderful understanding. I will dodge before it swipes with its paw, and then take the opportunity to pat its little head. Little Smoke, I gently squeezed the skin on the back of its neck. "If you can never see me again, will you miss me?" Its movement of eating the cat treat actually paused. It lifted its head, staring at me without blinking. A wet liquid fell to the ground, and my vision gradually blurred. I just realized that I was crying. "Little Smoke, do you also love to smoke?" "You mustn't smoke anymore. It's best to just be a simple little cat." In the end, I gently said, "Over the years, I have lost many people along the way, but what I regret the most is losing myself." That night, Ethan and Eudora cuddled together like high school sweethearts, watching the fireworks by the river. This was clearly the life he longed to return to, yet he felt increasingly troubled. But considering that Eudora had just undergone surgery and was unwell, he still begrudgingly accompanied her for a night. But the price was, as you said, that from now on you are never allowed to interfere in the lives of me and my wife again. Until the early morning, he could no longer hold back and rushed into the ward, shouting my name. "Vivian, I'm back. I will never leave you again. I have hired the best doctors to take care of you." He naively thought that this time he had finally seen his own heart clearly, that he could be with me forever. But in the hospital room, there was no one there. He immediately dialed my number, but it couldn't get through at all. Only a message from an unknown number lay in his unread messages. When Eudora came in, she happened to see Ethan standing still. "Ethan, I just asked the doctor. Miss Vivian was taken away by her best friend." On the way here, she carefully applied a fake no-makeup look, making her appear even more thin and pitiful. She walked up behind Ethan, saw that he was motionless, and tried to hug him from behind, pressing her entire body against him. "Ethan, Miss Vivian is a volunteer. She won't be coming back, and I am different from her. I will never leave you. I have everything you like." But a strong force suddenly pushed her away, and the man's hand was tightly gripping her neck. "Eudora." Ethan's eyes were blood red, his gaze nearly shattered. "I trusted you so much, but it turns out you have been deceiving me. You were pretending. You caused me to lose the person I loved most in this life. I want to kill you." The text message was sent by my best friend. It contains the chat records sent by Eudora. There's also the surveillance footage from the hotel corridor that day. Everything is telling Ethan just how wrong he was. "Ethan, you bastard. You are blind to the truth. You deserve to live the rest of your life in regret, and you will never see Vivian again." Eudora initially pretended to be ignorant, but when the evidence was laid before her, she trembled and shed tears. "Ethan, I really love you. When you came to the school as an outstanding alumnus to give a speech, I fell in love with you at first sight. I mustered the courage to stand up and ask a question, and after the event, I chased after you wanting to exchange contact information, but you walked too fast for me to keep up. After graduation, I finally made my way to your side, considering your preferences, pretending to be the person you like. I just want to be with you forever." Eudora is like a mirror to Ethan. She sees through his inner desires and timely plays the role of the delicate flower he wants to protect, satisfying his need for conquest. In other words, it is Ethan's deepest desires that painfully stab the one he loves the most. Even he cannot distinguish whether he wants a vibrant young girl or the Vivian of years past. "Eudora, our beginning was a mistake. Vivian was right to scold me. I am a beast, a scoundrel." Ethan laughed cruelly. "And now, I will let you know what a true beast looks like." Eudora was locked in the basement of the villa, enduring inhumane torture. And those members of the Sioux family who practiced medicine illegally were dealt with by him in the most brutal ways, one by one. After doing all this, Ethan still had to search for me far and wide. The surveillance has all been wiped away, and I haven't logged into my old messaging app since. He can't pinpoint the address. He can only use the most primitive method, giving up everything to search. "Ethan, are you still not my son? How could you have become like this?" Mother Lou rushed over, angrily pointing at him and scolding him, slapping him right away. These days, she had been overwhelmed dealing with the aftermath of her son's issues. She never expected that he would actually give up everything to find a woman. "I already said that Vivian is suitable for you. If you two get along well and live your lives together, there would be no problem. It was you who insisted on looking for someone outside. Now that things have come to light and she has chosen to leave, it's understandable. But why are you so stubborn and unwilling to let go?" Mother Lou grew more and more angry, and she slapped him hard across the face. "Do you know that now everyone in the circle is spreading the word that our Lou family has become someone else's joke? But Mom, it wasn't until now that I realized that fame and fortune don't matter at all. I regret it." Ethan smiled bitterly and continued to call the private detective to track my whereabouts. Mother Lou knew that her son's decision could not be changed even by 10 oxen, so she could only let him go. Some said Ethan was confused by love, while others said he brought it upon himself. Those who cherish their wives rise in rank and wealth, while those who straddle two boats end up like this. Fate plays tricks. After a while, someone really did message him online, saying they saw me at a Rye Lake. The barrage of comments told me that I had less than a week left. That day, I got up early to go to the pet shelter, as usual. But I suddenly found that many cars were densely surrounded outside the house. I saw from a distance and realized something was wrong, so I turned to run, but I heard my best friend's angry shouts. "Ethan, you beast. Calling you a beast is an insult to beasts. You even dare to tie me up. Do you believe I will call the police? Thank you very much for taking care of Vivian during this time. I am here to take her home." The man's voice was thick with fatigue. "Before anything else, I want to ask, is she doing well? Has her health improved a bit?" "Damn it. What the hell have you done to have the nerve to ask me? Let me tell you, Vivian is seriously ill. If you really want her to live a little longer, get out of here now and don't let her see you thinking about those unpleasant things." "Serious illness? Impossible. She has always been in good health. When we were discussing business before, I was so exhausted I could barely keep my eyes open, yet she was still going strong." As he spoke, even Ethan fell silent. He slapped himself hard. "You're right. I'm just a beast. I can't even protect my own woman. Where is Vivian now?" His voice is chilling. "You have taken care of her, which is a favor to me. I won't move against you. But if you refuse to take me to see her, then I will burn this pet shelter to the ground. Ethan, you bastard. If you dare to move here, I'll dig up your ancestors' graves, and I'll kill your whole family." Ethan got out of the car and slammed the door shut. Just in time, Yensa heard the noise and pushed open the gate with her little head, familiar with the routine. Upon seeing this unexpected guest, she immediately fluffed up, taking a defensive stance. When she saw Ethan walking towards the pet shelter, she meowed and pounced at him like a brave warrior. One claw scratched at his leg. The tone was full of warning, as if saying, "Get lost, or next time I won't be polite. You little brat, looking for death." The psychological pressure over the past few days had driven Ethan to madness. He grabbed the cigarette and slammed it heavily onto the ground. "No." When I rushed over, I only saw Yensang collapsed on the ground, blood pouring from his mouth. And Ethan grinned at me like a demon, a bloodthirsty smile. "Vivian, I knew you must be nearby. Look, can't you come out to see me?" He didn't know how much I wanted him to die at that moment. I squatted on the ground, watching the lifeless figure of Yensa, not knowing how long had passed. I got up and said with a smile, "Let my best friend go, and I'll go with you." He laughed heartily. He held me tightly in his arms. His stubbled chin rubbed against me, causing me quite a bit of pain. In the past, those were all my faults. Believe me, give me another chance, and I will definitely make you happy. You like animals, so when we go back, we'll raise some. I'll buy you a manor, and you can have as many as you want. All these years, we've walked through life leaning on each other. Now we start anew, and no one can separate us." I blankly raised my head, looking up at the sky. The barrage displayed. "I have one last day left." Ethan took me to a highly secure hotel several kilometers away from the city center. That night, he held me tightly in his arms, his hands and feet in a restrained position. He kept kissing me and murmured some words in a daze. I looked at his face, glowing white in the darkness. That night of adulthood, when we slept together for the first time, I reached out my finger and carefully traced his brows and eyes. I finally belonged to him completely, and he finally belonged to me completely. At that time, I was joyful, I was happy, but now I only feel a chill. As he slowly fell into a deep sleep, I suddenly pulled out the hairpin from my hair. I thrust it violently into his neck. He winced in pain and instinctively pushed me away with force. I rolled off the bed and crashed into the wall, my insides twisted in agony. What a pity! I couldn't kill him myself to avenge my smoky voice. Ethan realized it was me and panicked completely. He immediately ran over and picked me up. But blood kept gushing out of my mouth and nose, and no matter what, it wouldn't stop. "Vivian, what are you doing?" "I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. I thought I was having a nightmare." "Someone come quickly. You can't be in trouble. Weren't you going to kill me? Get up now, I won't mind if you poke 100 holes in me. Someone come quickly." He held me and cried out in agony, shouting for someone to come. And I used all my strength to say to him, "Ethan, remember, it was you who killed me with your own hands." I pressed my blood-stained handprints forcefully against his chest. "It was you who killed Vivian with your own hands." In a daze, I saw my grandmother tiptoeing. She carried a bamboo basket on her back, walking unsteadily along the mountain path, with a little one following behind. The little one tried hard to lift the bamboo basket, using all their strength. The old lady laughed so hard she couldn't straighten up. "Oh, dear little Vivian, you're not even as tall as my bamboo basket. Come here in front of Grandma. Only then will Grandma feel at ease." The little girl pouted and said defiantly, "I'm already in elementary school, and I'm still this short. I must eat more to grow tall, and from now on, I'll carry all the bamboo baskets at home." She ran to the front, rolled up her sleeves, and seriously wiped her grandmother's sweat. "I don't want you to work so hard. Grandma is in good health. Back then, I carried your mother up the mountain to chop firewood by myself, and walking over 10 kilometers was nothing. Now it's your turn, and it will be just as easy." How beautiful the time of childhood was. So beautiful that it felt unreal, like it slipped away from my fingers in the blink of an eye. The old lady with a very strong constitution said she wanted to lie down and take a nap after finishing cooking on a rainy day. But once she closed her eyes, she never got up again. I suddenly saw my grandmother walking towards me with a bamboo basket, saying she was here to take me home. "My little Vivian, you've suffered so much these years." Tears streamed down my face. I closed my eyes and threw myself into her arms. "Grandmother, take me away. I will never leave you again." Dying in Ethan's arms, making him believe he killed the one he loved. It is my final revenge against him. "Vivian, don't lie to me anymore. This joke isn't funny. You're in such good health. How could you possibly die? I know you hate me, you want to leave me, right? You're still angry with me, and it's okay if you won't forgive me, but you can't curse yourself like this." Ethan's body swayed and fell down. He held on to me, crying heart-wrenchingly. "I was wrong. Just reason with me. As long as you say a word, I'll leave immediately. I'll go as far as I can. But I have already lost all breath." He felt the rapid departure of my body temperature with his own hands. He finally realized that the Vivian who would eagerly cheer him on, who would gently take care of him, and who would laugh and leap into his arms was gone forever. In the end, he picked up my corpse and walked to the rooftop, jumping down. If life were only as it was at first sight, why would the autumn wind mourn the painted fan? Casual changes in an old friend's heart, yet it is said that an old friend's heart is fickle.